welcome back from that short break. Glad to know that you are still there. And Kingsley is here this evening, kitted and dressed in traditional regalia this evening, as though he's coming back from his hometown. Kingsley, you're looking nice. Good evening and welcome to Sport Extra.
Thank you very much, Mike. We have to look like our people. We're Africans. We're always known for native attire, Ankara, and the rest of them. You are on the English, attire. Yeah, I think it's good for you to carry on today.
All right, that was on a very lighter note out there. But we can tell you, yes, everything about African culture is our heritage. And of course, tomorrow promises to be yet another moment where the closing ceremony for the Women African Cup of Nations will come to an end. Of course, they expect some of those African culture and traditional, attire, and that is what Kingsley is representing here this evening on the show, and it looks very good on him. Let's start from the local scene, because we can tell you that the newly promoted Nigerian Premier Football League side, Barao Football Club, has named a veteran coach Ladan Boso as his technical advisor for the upcoming season. The appointment was confirmed by the club's media director, Ahmed Hamisu Wale, who stated that the full agreement had been reached. Boso will partner with Rabiu Tata, who retains his position as the chief coach in a strategic effort to establish a strong presence for the Kano-based club in their first top-flight campaign. Tata expressed excitement about working alongside Boso, who built a competitive squad. Pre-season training is set to begin soon, with the NPFL season scheduled to kick off in mid-August. With Boso and Tata at the helms of affairs, fans can look forward to an exciting and promising debut season for Barao FC. Kingsley, the man Ladan Boso, the new coach for Barao FC, this man has lots of experience. Could this be the reason why he was drafted in? And do you know of any issue regarding the coach who got them promoted into the top flight division, why he was brought in place of Ladan Boso?
I don't really know what really happened, because if the coach has promoted them to the Nigerian Premier Football League, and now that they have been promoted, they are now calling on the Ladan Boso. Of course, they now appointed Ladan Boso to take up the job. I don't really know what is the idea the team are trying to put up at this point in time. Maybe they need an experienced manager, one who has experienced the Nigerian Premier Football League. And I talk about Ladan Boso. He's an experienced manager. He has coached so many teams in the MPFL. He has even coached at the national level as well. So maybe they're looking for experience as it's time. Barao FC just got promoted from the NNL to the MPFL. Maybe they want to make sure that they maintain their stay in the MPFL. And for me, take a look at Ladan Boso in the last 3 or 4 seasons now. I haven't really seen anything much significant, from Ladan Boso. But talk about that experience, yes, he still has it. Can he, of course, make Barao FC, of course, to stay afloat in the MPFL, maybe probably contend for the title? I think he has what it takes if he has the right players on ground, at this point in time. So maybe at this point, I think management need is maybe an experienced manager. Maybe they think the other man was not really maybe experienced enough in the MPFL, and that's why they decided to bring Ladan Boso as assistant. But I think maybe somehow too they would have stick with the man and see what comes up. If and bracket, transition down to the MPFL. But it is what it is. We just look forward to see what comes up for Barao FC with Ladan Boso assistant. I think if you take a look at the way they are going about in preparing, you see, okay, they are coming up to take up the stage, just like we saw a few seasons ago with Sporting Lagos, came, everywhere, Sporting Lagos with their branding, but they were still relegated that same season. We hope that will not be the case for Barrow FC as well.
All right, we hope that is not going to be the case of Barrow FC, who has gotten that promotion, but then they have let go of the coach who took them down to the promotion, and of course, brought in Ladambosu, who will be collaborating with the Tata to ensure that, of course, Barrow FC, does stay afloat or even vie for the title come next season. Some might say vying for the title may be outside of the equation. It's just about them, maintaining their place in the top flight division. Let's head to other stories, because we can also tell you this evening that the Executive Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation has approved the recommendation of Federation's Technical and Development Subcommittee for the appointment of the experienced strategist Manu Garba as head coach of the Under-17 Boys National Team, Golden Eaglets. The Executive Committee also endorsed their proposal by the Technical and the Development Subcommittee for the appointment of experienced women's football tacticians Moses Aduko as head coach of the Under-20 Girls National Team. Falconet Aduko takes over from coach Chris Danjuma. Both Garba and Aduko will officially resume on Sunday, as their different teams have important upcoming engagements. The Under-20 girls have the 2026 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifying fixtures against Rwanda in September, while the Golden Eaglets will take part in the WAFU B Under-17 Boys Tournament that Nigeria is set to host the same month. So the recommendation from the technical subcommittee is out, and Moise Aduko has also been given another very, very big responsibility. Handling the football club at the club level is quite different from taking over responsibility for the national team. Do you think that Moise Aduko has what it takes to manage the national team?
I think definitely he will. This is female football, as it is. So I believe he has what it takes, of course, to be able to handle the girls. He is coach, in the he's coaching female football for some time. So I believe, he has that experience, of course, to handle the national team, as it stands. I think from what we're saying, it's time we start believing on our home-based coaches. Take a look at what Justin Madugu is doing with the Super Falcons of Nigeria down there in Morocco. Though so many persons do not still believe or maybe have that much confidence on him tactically, but he has taken the team to the final. That's the thing, at this point in time. So I think it's that time we start entrusting responsibilities, on our home-based coaches. We shouldn't just look down on them. We should try and get to see, what they've been able to do, the potential, of course, they have, as it stands. So I believe Moses Aduko, of course, is that coach, that will do well with the national team. He's coach Edo Queens and some other teams as well. So he has a lot of experience when it has to do with managing female players. And I think with this job, I believe he's going to, of course, put up a very impressive performance.
For Golden Eaglet, talking about Manu Garba, do you see him succeeding with the Golden Eaglets?
For Manu Garba, he's been, of course, in the national team side, for some time. And I believe this is another responsibility, of course, on his shoulder. I just hope that he'll put up a very impressive, performance, down there. Like I mentioned, it's time we start making sure that, our home-based coaches, of course, are being recognized. And this is an opportunity, for them to prove themselves, once again. So let's see what, comes up at this point. If we take a look at it now, I think we're trying to get something right. Take a look at the different football cadre now that have been also being handled by home-based coaches at this point. In fact, even the Super Falcons handled by a home-based coach. As a start, it's just the Super Eagles that we have. Somebody still in Africa. As a stand. But I think we start having that trust on our home-based coach. Not just that as well. It's time for we to look for how to train these coaches. Pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. I know that yes, they have that potential. They have what it takes, of course, to be able to lead a team. give them the opportunity to go out there and be able to upgrade. When they come back, it is also you that will benefit. They'll be back in the national team job and be able to improve, of course, the team. Take a look at Morocco, as it stands. Morocco, take a look at the way their national team football has now been, the male and the female. Today we are talking about Morocco, our female team in the final of the Women African Cup competition. Last time they were I think they were in the last 3. So you could see that there's improvement. Take a look at the pattern of football they played.
Yeah.
When they put up their football development plan, they went out there, brought in foreigners who came, of course, to give them the templates, to train them on how, of course, football, or what football is. And today they are gradually following that templates, and the achievement is visible today. So I think for me, not just appointing them, at the end of the day, these coaches will have to suffer themselves, see how they can get a refresher course and all of that. As a team, as a nation, take them out, bring them back, and let them, of course, give back, back to the country.
You talked about Morocco and their intentional approach towards football development. Now, you also talked about, the national team coaches of, Nigeria being manned by, individuals from here. The growing influence that we are seeing today in terms of coaches having a say in our national team. You mentioned the senior women national team, the under-17 as well, the female under-20. These are categories being manned by our local coaches. Only, the Super Eagles that we are still talking about, a foreigner, but yet an Africa. Does this show that we are beginning to, have confidence in our local coaches?
I think it does. It does, at some point. Somewhere, if you take a look at it, I think the coaches as well, they've also looked for a way to improve, showcase themselves, of course, in a very good light. Because if we've not really, is it the thing? Yes, Mike, I think they are beginning to have confidence on the coaches. But you see this level of football, under 17, under 20, these are stages you need to have good hands.
True.
All right? If the coaches that are coaching these little ones are not good enough, when they go out there, they will have nothing to prove. You see, when they go out there, you still go and bring foreign managers, still look for those players playing abroad to come and help you execute Continental African Cup of Nations and the rest of them. But if these ones are good enough, all right, the coaches we have in the under-17 and the rest, if they are good enough and they are able to train these players, give them good tactical display and all of that, they will see that progression. The same way, that's how football, of course, is being, planned. But at the situation whereby these coaches, maybe they are not good enough, what would they have to offer to these players for them to grow, as a staff? But for your question, I think, yes, that trust is gradually coming down to our home-based coaches at this point in time, because before they were actually recommended, as a stand, I think they have seen their potential, they see what they can do for the growth of the team. So I think they will down here in the country was started, of course, putting up that trust on our home-based coaches.
Massive trust on our home-based coaches as we speak, because we've seen a change in narrative where, our senior and junior national teams currently being manned by our indigenous coaches, exception of the senior national team, talking about the Super Eagles. And I think it's a very, very nice one. More empowerment, more training and retraining also should also be given to some of these indigenous coaches to also upgrade their CV, so that we can get to that point where, like the Moroccos, where virtually all their, football cadres, and talk about coaches, are being manned by their indigenous. And that is the point where we can be able to build a very solid, team going forward. Because having local coaches, taking the junior, category, then when you get to the senior level, bringing foreign coaches, it goes a whole long way to destabilize whatever the indigenous coaches has built from the grassroots. But when we are having that transition from the grassroots level down to the senior level, it becomes very seamless for the indigenous coaches to continue to, of course, impact their philosophy to these players. But let's head straight to the Super Falcons camp, because Super Falcons coach Justin Madugu is confident Nigeria can reclaim the Women's African Cup of Nations title as they face a host, Morocco, in the final come tomorrow, July 26 in Rabat. The team arrived in Morocco capital on Wednesday, and they began preparations after a hard-fought semi-final win over defending champions South Africa, sealed by a late goal from Michel Alozie. Madugu praised his team's technical discipline and emphasized their determination to lift the trophy, stating they will continue assessing their opponents strategically. And Nigeria, unbeaten in the tournament, has scored a total of 11 goals and conceded just once. This marks Nigeria's 10th WAFCON final appearance. They remain undefeated in previous finals and aim to secure a record extending 10th title. So the dice is cast, and tomorrow is the D-Day where the Super Falcons will see if the adventure for Mission X will be accomplished. But one interesting aspect of what the coach said is that they've been able to, of course, tactically and technically, manage the games. He actually praised the players for their technical and tactical discipline. But beyond that, talking about tactical discipline, the game against South Africa, that foul committed by Osinachi Ohale, that was a tactical blunder, because naturally there was no need pulling the shirt of that South African, which gifted them that penalty. Do you foresee Madugu correcting that mistake? Because coming up against the host country tomorrow, the pressure might likely be upon the Super Falcons.
You talk about that particular situation. I think it's not for Madugu to correct. Is the player, at this point in time, I think should be more careful this final, because this is a final. Every touch matters. Whatever you do, of course, matters. At this point in time, for Osinachi Ohale, she's been fantastic so far in the tournament. It's just that what happened against South Africa almost brought back the Super Falcons, the strength and what they've done so far. But thank God they were able, of course, to get through in that particular. Probably, I believe she has learned, from her mistake, and probably will put herself in a very good condition in this particular final. She's one of the best we have in that back line, with the likes of, Prompter down there. Of course, they've been doing a very, very good job. You can also take away Demihin, who are Analozi, who have also been very, very much, fantastic. So if you take a look at it, in fact, if you talk about the best department so far in this tournament for the Super Falcons, is defense.
True.
And the midfield.
True.
They've been so fantastic. Take a look at the fact that after maybe I think about 4 or 5 games now, they just considered just 1 goal. That should tell you that you have a good defense. That's why I said it is left for Ohale to condition herself and be able to put up a very good mindset heading down to this game. Know how you tackle players. Know how you, of course, you put up yourself, to defend whichever ball, of course, you've seen. So for me, I think it's just a mistake. I believe now that she have understood her game, and for the coach, so far so good. Talk about Coach Madugu tactically. If I want to rate him, I would say 70%. You could say it's a pass mark as well, because they're in the final of the competition. Because there's no how you tell me that Madugu has not tried, and then the Super Falcons are in the final. So in one way or the other, at least his tactical prowess has led the team, to the final. Though, of course, you see so many individual brilliance, in that team that has actually helped the team, of course, to get to this level. But Justin Madugu, see him, of course, in the game against South Africa, he maintained that same formation. I think he maintained. Was it the last game? Was it again? I think was it Algeria? In that particular one. So for me, take a look at it tactically. Madugu has been able, of course, to manage this team, down to the final. I just hope, of course, he improve in this final. Maybe put up something that, of course, we'll be able to weaken the Moroccans. That's what, of course, we need at this point, because we understand the Atlas Lionesses of Morocco are also very much, formidable. They have that strength. They can sustain themselves. But I think if our attacking line can be very much formidable, we can get the goals, because when you take a look at Morocco, so far in this tournament, I think they've considered about 6 goals. Yeah. So you take a look at it, that they have that tendency that you can see penetrating to their defense and look for the goal. So for me, I think at this point, that attacking line of the Super Falcons should be very much formidable in order for we to get the goal. Take a look at it. If not for that cross from Alozie, all right, what would have been the case of Super Falcons? Maybe we would have been coming back home at this point in time. The first goal was via penalty. True. Second was a cross that nobody thought was going to enter the goalpost. All right, so you could see that we've really done well when it has to do with goal scoring. And if that is not tackled in this game, it might possibly affect the Super Falcons. Your attackers have to be agile. They have to score. If they don't score, it becomes a problem. Take a look at, except it was only against Tunisia we saw them scoring. Botswana was a struggle. Algeria was a struggle. So for me, I think they have to come out. The attackers have to do their job. See how they can get the goals. Not depend on penalties or cross or whatever. Get the goals and look for a way to get the goals. And at this point, or else it might be a difficult one for the Super Falcons.
He talked about being a difficult one for the Super Falcons. The Moroccans against Ghana, that tournament thus far. The Super Falcons have been able to win their game via regulation time. They haven't played, extra time. But the Moroccans, they've played more than 90 minutes, got into the extra time before winning on penalties. Do you think that this will have a tool against the Super Falcons, having not played at extra minutes into the game? Meanwhile, the Moroccans, they've played an extra time. If you take a look at that, does it really give the Moroccans an edge if the game gets to extra time?
I think it does. And this is where Justin Madugo has to bring his tactical prowess.
So as to win the game during the regulation time?
Yes, this is where he needs to bring his tactical prowess, because from this Super Falcons team I'm even seeing, I don't even think they have the strength to play extra time.
True.
The last game against South Africa, 70 or 80 minutes, they were all tired on the pitch. The South Africans did not gain dominance and were playing. So except maybe because what I saw that day was the fact that Justin Madugo was very stingy in substitution. He didn't want to do substitution. Some of the players were so tired, he didn't want to change them. I wonder what was his game plan, or what he wanted to prove, in that encounter. Maybe he's going to probably, if he gets to extra time, he's going to see how to renew the strength of the team by bringing fresh players, and all of that. But taking a look at the way the Atlas Lionesses of Morocco has going to extra time to play, I think if you take a look at that, they have probably mastered that particular game, pattern. So if it gets to extra time, they might be of a bit, of advantage than the Super Falcons, who haven't played extra time. They only play 90 minutes and winning and go back home. So I think Justin Madugo have to devise a means, try, like I mentioned, get the goals. It was against Zambia we saw a lot of goals. Yes, they scored, everybody scored, we were so happy. But this is, Morocco we're talking about. This is the hosts. Don't forget the pressure that will also come on that. So a whole lot against the Super Falcons of Nigeria. They have to make sure they come out to fight, or else it's not going to be, an easy one for them.
Not going to be an easy one for the Super Falcons. They need to come out and fight and see that the match ends in regulation time, not taking to extra time. But another vital aspect we need to also, take a look at is that throughout the course of the competition, the Super Falcons have not conceded first. They have always been the first to score. And when you first score, it gives you that belief, to say, okay, let us attack, let's look for more goals, or probably let's defend and be more cautious. Now, against the Moroccan side that will be playing at home, they will have the home support. What would be your advice? Because we haven't not conceded first so far. If we get to concede in our first game,
worry.
So what would be the advice now to Coach Justin Madugo?
score first. That's my advice. Score first at this point in time. Look for the goal. In fact, there's this thing that Luis Enrique normally does with what's his name, Paris Saint-Germain. Whenever they start the ball, he first of all give the ball to the opponents to start playing.
True. Sometimes even they throw the ball away. I don't know that you've noticed that tactics as well.
So that when he notices what they have, they now deploy their assistant. So get their tactics in time. Look for a way to score first. When you score first, weaken them. Yes, they will come out. They want to look for goals, but then you defend, go on the counter, you go and score first. Score 1-2. It will be difficult for them to come back. Assistant. So for me, I think this is the time Madugu have to strengthen the attack. The likes of Okoronkwo, Ihezu, they should step up their game, at this point in time. Possibly look for another attacker that is very fresh, to put down there. I think that will really help, the situation, So, for what I see, I think for me the tactics is as the game starts, at least in the first 30 minutes of the game, Super Falcons should get a goal. That, of course, will be what will give them that opportunity to be able to help the situation. If they don't score in time, it becomes difficult. So for me, I believe heading down to this one, Super Falcons should look for a way to at least get the goal first, because that is what they've been used to so far in this competition. Scoring first and looking for another, or probably defending the goal they scored. So for me, at least in the first 30 minutes, try and get the goal. That will give you advantage in the game.
All right, we'll see how this one turns out. But at this point, let's take a quick break. When we are back, we'll continue with the rest of the stories. Don't go anywhere.